Hello and welcome to today's Market Insights briefing. Conquer trading discipline and consistency by building your mental edge, brought to you by ChartPros. For those of you that are new to ChartPros, welcome. We're glad that you're here. For those that are familiar with us and are back for a second or third or even more time, welcome back. We appreciate you being here. Before we get started, we've got the risk disclaimer, trading is risky screen. That's required of us to put this up there. And I also want to let you know that today's session is being recorded. And so our format for today is we're going to have a presentation and we'll get started with some introductions. My name is Tom Winterstein. I am the founder of ChartPros and I'm a certified mental performance coach. And today we're really blessed to have a special guest with us, Créde Sheehy-Kelly, who's going to share her insights in the high performance and trading psychology. Créde is someone that I have worked with as a trader over the last 2.5 years. And so we've got some insights that I really want to share with you on that. One of the unique characteristics about Créde that I'll share ahead of time right now is that Créde doesn't actually trade. And so she brings a different and unique perspective to that aspect. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we progress through our presentation. But before we get into that, I do want to give a little bit of a background about ChartPros and really what kind of drives, my vision and our philosophy for the company. And it really revolves down to a couple of simple steps, if you will. But I firmly believe if you give a trader a signal, they can profit for a day. But if you teach a trader price action and risk management, they can profit for a lifetime. And that's different than a lot of things that you see out in the marketplace, because we don't sell secrets, signals or indicators, but we can provide you with highly rated training and expert resources to support your goals and ambitions. Recently, over the past summer, we started what I call a Pay It Forward Traders Helping Traders program. And for the month of September, what that means is it boils down to is we were able to offer over $1.5 million in scholarships to traders just like you. And so we're very, very excited and very proud for that. Didn't really know where that could go. But I have to admit that it exceeded my expectations in the first quarter to get that off the ground. So we were able to help over 75 traders just last month, get them into courses and get them on their way towards reaching their goals. And so we really kind of came up with something that one of our members in the trade room that inspired me, and that's changing lives one trader at a time. And so one of our traders had contributed into the Pay It Forward program, and he sent me an email, along with his contribution. Hey, I just bought this course. He said, go change another life. And that really dawned on me. And so we realized that that's what we had done for that trader. And there's a real well-documented story on our website about that, which I'm not going to spend time on that today. But just know that's a special program for us, traders helping traders, and we pay it forward. So a little bit about me, and yes, that's me back when I was a young 23-year-old whippersnapper, where I kind of thought I knew more than I really did. I have a graduate degree. I have an MBA in finance, and my undergraduate is in management science, which involves a lot of computer science. So when I was younger, I was pretty much a nerd. And now that I'm older, I'm still kind of a nerd. I like statistics. I like numbers. I like logic. And when I first started trading the stock market and the futures market and everything, there was nothing logical about it to me. And so I have certainly learned a lot since I started trading back in 1996. But to just kind of characterize my background, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've specialized in the last 20 years with online training and e-learning for professional workforce development. So ChartPros is certainly along the lines of that. I'm a certified mental performance coach, which is something that I did initially as it revolved around sports. And I'll tell you one of the things and one of the reasons that I sought out Créde, and she didn't know this at the time, but I was in search of her for like 3 years. And I interviewed several different experts, and it dawned on me one time that my doctor has a doctor, my lawyer has a lawyer, my accountant has an accountant, and me as a performance coach, I figured, why couldn't I have a performance coach? And so I set out on a journey to find someone that could really help me go from good to better to great as a trader. But one of the things I realized is that I'm not a psychologist. And so even though there was a lot of the process oriented things that Créde brought to me that I was familiar with, there was just an aspect of it that it was missing for me, and that was the psychological aspect and emotions in the marketplace. And so, when you realize that you don't know what you don't know, and you seek an expert to help you with that, that can be a great catalyst for learning. And so that certainly helped me. But one of the things that I realized too is, I realized as I've matured is to never say never, because back then, younger Tom didn't believe in technical analysis. As an MBA student, I learned all the fundamental ways to value a company and future cash flows and all that kind of good stuff. And I just didn't believe in technical analysis. And then it was probably sometime in the last 10 years when I was exposed to standard deviations on a chart, or the math behind Fibonacci on a chart. And given my undergrad work in statistics, I said, this is pretty interesting. And then I found that it just worked, almost to the point where it's magical sometimes, where the levels can work to the tick. And so I've come full circle around my belief of technical analysis, and it just works. And along the way, I've had some really good mentors. And so what we've developed is a comprehensive trader education solutions provider company, for you along the lines of price action technical analysis. So how I found Créde was, like I said, I'd set out on a search, and I actually interviewed several different experts, if you will. And when you're looking for someone like Créde, there has to be a fit. And for the most part, it's easier to rule someone out than it is to rule them in. But when I got to Créde, I knew, just given her background, a couple of things that were really uniquely positioned to me is, one, she didn't trade. So she didn't have a bias from a technical analysis perspective. But two, her background came from sports. Which was the whole reason I became a certified mental performance coach, was initially to help athletes. But it was really eye-opening to me how much it translated and parlayed into helping traders and helping myself as a trader. And so in the spirit of making a good thing better, I began to work with Créde, and the rest is history, so they speak. And so I felt that it was extremely important and valuable. I'm trying to share as much about this concept and this topic, with as many traders as possible, again, because of my pay it forward, ambitions. And a lot of the struggles and challenges and mistakes that you're probably making as a trader right now, or have made, or trying to overcome, I promise you, I've made those. And there are ways to overcome that. And a lot of it's very process oriented. It's not outcome oriented. And not to steal any of Créde's thunder when it gets to that part of it, but when I initially got into trading, I did it for all the same reasons that you probably did too, because I wanted to make money. I wanted to make some extra money about it. I was excited about winning trades and stuff like that. And so really I was focused on the wrong things. I was not focused on my process. I was focused on my outcome. And just a quick side story, earlier about the age of this photo is when I first began to learn how to fly an airplane. And it was a single engine airplane. One of the things that I quickly learned is everything has a checklist. You have a pre-flight checklist, you have an in-flight checklist, you have a pre-landing checklist, you have a post-landing. Everything's driven by a checklist. And so it made a lot of sense to me. I actually have a pre-trading checklist that I use every day that Créde has helped me develop. And so that's kind of just a short glimpse into how I found Créde. Créde is actually based in Ireland. She's going to share a little bit more about her story and her background. But I searched all throughout the U.S. I interviewed people in Europe and in Australia. But once I met Créde, there was just something that I knew it was the fit. And based on the fact that she brings research, to the table, it's not just a touchy-feely. Because again, when I was younger, like the guy in that picture right there, I didn't believe in mental performance. I didn't believe in psychology. I didn't think that stuff could work. And so again, along the ways, I've learned to never say never. I try to keep an open mind about learning things. And even though I do consider myself a relatively smart guy, I realize that I don't know everything. So I'm willing to learn, and hopefully you are too. And lastly, before we move into Créde, I just want to share with everybody that, since late 2018, 2019, before the pandemic, when we started the company, we've had over 6,000 traders that have taken one or more of our courses. And so we've just listed there for you, our most popular course, our newest course, our best-selling course, most advanced, and our highly rated. And so there's certainly places to start, with ChartPros. There's a lot of different places to, for on-ramps to get on with your journey and reaching your goals. And so if you're a trader that has, high ambitions and you've got a desire to improve your situation and your outcome, then keep your ears glued for the rest of this presentation for sure. That's our website. We'll come back to this screen later on, but right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Créde Sheehy-Kelly to you, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Créde can.
Thanks, Tom. Just waiting for that permission to come through, and then so the settings aren't letting me.
You should have it now.
I am now. Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. So let's start the slideshow. Oops. Start. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see that. And
yep, we got you.
Got it. Okay. I've lost the chat function somehow, so I can't actually see the chat, which is a bit of a pity because I'm going to ask you to participate. If you can, maybe Tom, you can jump in at that point. So welcome everyone, and thanks for the introduction, Tom. And I'm really excited to be here, especially because we've developed this partnership together. So Créde Performance, my company, and Tom's with ChartPros. And it's a really good fit because it's not just a partnership of two people who are bringing two aspects of trading together, the psychology and the technical piece. It's actually, we've walked the walk together. So Tom has been through an intensive process of coaching with me, and he got great results with it. And it just made so much sense to partner with someone who actually really gets the mental side of it and who is willing to face themselves and do the work. So
we can only see a portion of your screen right now.
Oh,
just the top portion.
Shoot. Okay.
Yeah. So now we see inside a PowerPoint.
So I've got two there. Did that fix it?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Technology is not my strong point. I'm going to be upfront about that. Speaking of being honest with yourselves, yes, that's my confession at the start. Anyway, so just saying, I'm going to just give you a really quick, this will be very quick introduction to who I am and my background, and why am I sitting here even talking to you if I don't trade? So I'm sure that might be a question in your minds, and I hope to put any doubts around that at rest. So basically, I'm a chartered psychologist in Ireland, a high-performance psychologist. That's my area of expertise. And I've been working in this field for more than 16 years now, coaching world leaders in professional sports, business, finance, trading, obviously, and many other high-performance domains. So I've been working with people who are under high pressure in their professions and where split-second decisions can make or break a career. So I actually started out in sports psychology. So my master's is actually in sports psychology. And I spent a large part of my early career working with professional athletes and in high-performance sports environments. And it was actually in 2019 that I started working with a trader, and it really worked. It's basically the mindset of trading is very similar to the mindset required by professional athletes. But what I loved about trading is that there's nowhere to hide. The metrics will tell you exactly how you're performing. So it's very easy to see the difference that working on your mental edge, as we're going to talk about in this seminar today, how that can make a difference to your bottom line in trading. So we're going to get into that in much more depth in a second. But I also just want to bring your attention to another part of this. So yes, I don't trade. So how can I live by the techniques that I'm discussing with you guys? So what I actually found was that psychology changed my life, and not just because it became my profession, but when I was younger, probably from the age of about 16 up, I experienced depression and an eating disorder. And I was struggling with that while studying sports psychology. So I did my undergrad, I did my master's, and I actually went on and even studied part of a PhD, which I subsequently withdrew from to focus on applied stuff. But as I was going through all of that training and learning all of these mindset techniques to help professional athletes, I started using them on myself. And I had a really bad mindset to start with, to just summarize it. Critic, inner critic, perfectionist, all of those mind traps that kept me from not fulfilling my potential, but even more than that, just from not enjoying life. And I started using these techniques that I was using with professional athletes to work on my own mindset. And I managed through doing that to completely beat the depression, completely overcome the eating disorder along with therapy. So absolutely doing the deep work as well. And then I found that when I got to that neutral place where my mindset wasn't fighting with me anymore, it wasn't my biggest enemy, that I continued using these techniques like affirmations, visualization, goal setting, and everything we're going to talk about today in my own life and to all of the ambitious goals that I was pursuing as well. And it changed my life because it took me from neutral to a much higher level, to where now my mindset is probably my biggest asset. It's the thing that I can count on when everything else around me is falling to pieces. And I've built that up. It didn't just happen. I wasn't born with it. I've built it up, over a long period of time. So while I've been teaching this, I've also been living it too. And just like you guys, I've high ambitions, striving to keep working on my mindset and keep hitting those goals. And so what I do in trading, since 2019, I've been working with traders now almost exclusively in this space, and with hedge fund managers as well, to help you to master the mindset and the emotional control required to be able to stick to your trading plan and to be profitable in the market. So I've been in an intensive kind of environment with traders since then. But what I'm really here to do is to help you to master your mindset. Obviously, that's a given. That's why you're here. To manifest your goals. So to actually hit those most ambitious goals that you have for yourself. Of course, we're talking about this in the trading domain today, but this also applies to any goal in any other area of your life. You can use the techniques we're talking about today to help you with that too. And essentially, my aim is to help the people that I work with to lead a richer life. So yes, in the context of trading, that means making more money. Of course, it's the bottom line, but it also means actually enjoying the present as well, even when you're on the pursuit of, or on this journey to pursue really lofty goals, being consistently profitable, making the millions, whatever it is, that you can actually also enjoy the journey and set goals around other aspects of your life as well that support your performance in trading. So things like the quality of your relationships, the level of sleep you're getting, all of these factors that impact the person will also impact your trading performance. And so a richer life doesn't just mean wealth. It also means having time freedom, being able to look after your physical health, having the time to exercise, and all of those things. So that's really what I'm about. So with that intro, let's get into it. So overview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about why your mindset is critical to trading success. Now, I'm going to guess if you're here, you've registered for this webinar and you're sitting here listening now, you're already bought into that idea. But we're just going to recap exactly what that means. Like, what difference does it make when your mindset is on your side in trading? We're going to compare the technical and the mental edges. So everybody knows that you need a technical edge in trading, or that it's an advantage. But what actually is the mental edge? So we're here to deconstruct trading psychology, take the waffle, the abstract, this kind of concept that's a little bit hard to pin down into practical techniques sometimes. So people understand that trading psychology is important, but that's very different to knowing exactly how to implement practices and techniques in your trading so that you can improve your mental edge. So my approach is really about making everything practical and breaking it down into a plan that you can implement, which will make a difference to your trading results. We're going to talk about the key ingredients to building a rock solid mental edge. So what are the essential things that you need if you want to start building your mental edge? What do you need to take care of? We'll also then focus on two key areas. So obviously there's tons of things we could talk about in terms of building the mental edge, but we're going to particularly cover two in a little bit of depth today. So one, we want to help you with conquering discipline. So in all of the traders that I've worked with, on one-to-one basis, in group programs, in webinars, one of the most common problems is that people can't stick to their trading plan, and they get highly charged with emotions when they're trading, and then that causes them to break the rules. So discipline is essential. So I'm going to actually talk you through a framework or a method for how you can conquer discipline in your trading, regardless of what emotions are causing you to break your rules. And then lastly, we're going to finish up with talking about how you can make a dent in your consistency. So a practical technique that's very easy to implement and that you could literally walk away from this session today and start using, that should assist you in improving your level of consistency in your trading. So you'll walk away with some practical ideas, and we'll mention some resources as well. At the end of this talk, we'll have a Q&A. So please do feel free to keep your questions to that. Like I said, let me just see if I can bring it back up. First, I don't know why, but I've lost the Q&A thing. So I can't actually see the questions as they come in. So I'm going to leave it to Tom to maybe field those back to me at the very end of the session. And there's also going to be a bonus. If you stay to the end, you're going to find out what that is. And I'm excited for it because I know that it can make a big difference for your trading. So let's start off with a bit of a scary stat. Only 1% of day traders can predictably profit net of fees. And 80% of day traders will quit within the first 2 years. Now, these are not stats that I'm quoting now to scare you, to demotivate you, but we want to face the truth of trading. It's a difficult journey. It's a difficult profession. And if you start your trading journey thinking that, it's a get rich quick scheme, that you can be a millionaire in a year, then you're setting yourself up with unrealistic expectations, and which is a big part of why people drop off. So if you're sitting here and you've already made it past the first 2 years and you're still here, you're still trading, congratulations to you. And hopefully what you learned today is going to help you continue on that journey. And if you haven't made it to that 2 years first, well, then I hope that what we share today will help you to get to that point. So what we're really talking about in terms of working on your mental edge is helping you to get to the top. If you want to understand how you can reach those big goals that you have for yourself, then it's just a matter of understanding what it takes to get there and then starting to implement those systems. So when we're talking about trading psychology, this can literally be as simple as the equivalent of training your body in the gym. We train your mind in the mind gym, but you first need to understand how to do that. Like, what tools do you need to use? How often do you need to use them, etc. Then you have your plan, and then it's just a matter of consistently executing it. So there's 2 parts to improving your mental edge, which I'm going to define in a few slides. The first part is understanding what to do, and the second part is doing it. So if you just watch this information today and you don't actually implement anything in your trading, it's hard for it to have an impact. But if you watch it and start making some tiny tweaks in your routine, some of the suggestions that I'm going to offer you today, if you follow up on them, then hopefully you'll start to see results or improvements in discipline and consistency. And that will give you the taste for really taking on building your mental edge in a big way. So if trading is this difficult profession where it's hard to get to that 1%, why is it that most traders don't make it? And if we boil it down, the biggest reason that people don't make it is that they know what they need to do, but they just don't do it. So obviously at the start of your trading journey, you have to figure out the technical aspects of it. And that's where Tom's expertise comes in and is very helpful in that side of things. So you do have to understand, choose a strategy or an approach to trading, understand how to implement it, practice it, all of that. But once the technical side is down, then it really becomes a game of being able to master yourself. Because if you have the best technical trading plan in the world, but in the heat of the market, in the heat of the trade, you can't stick to it, then it can't serve you. You can't be profitable. And that's basically why people don't make it, or to the extent that I've seen it anyway, because mastering yourself is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. You're fighting with your own subconscious beliefs from childhood and all of these things that are not really in the level of our conscious awareness. So when you're working on your trading psychology, or when you're throwing yourself into the trading arena, you can be sure that anything that's in your psychology that has the potential to trip you up will come out in that arena too, and you'll have to face it. And for me, it's the traders who are willing to actually face that challenge, take it on, and put their ego aside and work on anything that's sitting there that's stopping them from achieving consistency. They are the ones that are going to make it. So what does that mean? You know what you need to do, but you just don't do it. So you've got your trading plan, but then you let your emotions drive your actions in the market. So instead of just following your plan like a robot, and this is all I should say, I should caveat that this all comes into play when you have a technical trading strategy or approach that you've back tested and that you know is profitable. So we're not talking about focusing on your trading psychology before the technical piece is in place and before you have a well thought out trading plan that you've tested, etc. We're going to assume that you're at that point. So let's say that you're at that point and then you're not following your plan. It can be that your emotions are driving your actions. So that might be the fear of missing out, leading you to being overactive in the market. So you're listening to people in the chat room and they're talking about certain stocks that you weren't planning on trading, and then you jump into them. So you've got FOMO. Revenge trading. Maybe you take a few losses and it really causes anger or frustration in you, and you decide that you're not going to let the market win, that you're going to make this day a green day at all costs. And we know how often that works out in the long run. Ignoring stops. So again, maybe being stubborn and just refusing to accept that you're beaten on a trade, that it's a losing trade, and you stay in it and you're trying to wait it out and let it turn green again. So these are all examples of how emotions can cause you to break your rules in the market. We're going to talk about emotions and discipline in much more depth in a few minutes. It can also look like an inability to deal effectively with pressure. So pressure is inherent in trading. You can't get away from that fact. But how we perceive pressure is something that's within our control. But if you throw yourself into the market and there is that pressure of putting real money on the line, so it's natural that there would be pressure there. It can lead you, if you don't have the right skills or tools to deal with that pressure, it can lead you to doubt your trading plan. So you find that a setup appears, it's your exact A+ setup, the one you've been waiting for. And at the last second, before you actually take the entry, you start second guessing yourself and you hesitate and you miss the entry. It can look like getting in or out of trades too early. Poor decision making. So, you know what you should be doing, but you make the decision to do the exact opposite. So maybe you've missed the entry for a trade and your rule says that you don't chase it, and then you go and chase it anyway. So poor decision making. It can also look like suboptimal mental performance. So just even as simple as a lack of focus or attention. So you're being distracted by things that are happening in your personal life, or even you're distracted by, something else, your phone, or it can be the incorrect focus. So it can be when you're looking at maybe the higher timeframes that you shouldn't be looking at, or different time charts that aren't serving you or that aren't part of your plan. So these are all examples of why traders don't make it when it's rooted in their psychology. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump to that slide. So I can't see the chat, so I can't see your answers, but I'm going to throw out the question here anyway. If we're talking about how technical skill alone is not enough and how the mental edge is important, or the psychology side of trading is important, what percentage of your entire trading performance do you think is accounted for by psychological factors? So I'm actually going to ask for that in a percentage. And I did run a poll on X, formerly Twitter, a few months ago at this point, and I have some answers. So we're going to look at what the masses said, but it would be interesting to get your thoughts. So if you want to just drop a percentage in the chat now, maybe Tom can just jump on the mic and let me know. Oh, here, I can see it now.
All right, I'll be monitoring this for us.
I think, Tom, you're sending them to hosts and panelists, it says, so I don't know if everyone can see that message. Okay, I'm not going to dwell on this too much. I'm not seeing messages come in, but I'm not sure if there's something going on with the chat. So
somebody sent me one privately. It says 80%.
80%. Okay, well, top marks to that person, because you're going to see in a second. But so I put this question out to a group of traders the other day, and the answers range from like 15% to 0% to 50% to 80%. But when I put it out, it was the consensus on the live webinar that I did a few weeks ago, but it was also the consensus on X as well. And that was, if I can just come back to this.
Yeah, another person just said 1/3.
A third. Okay, fair enough. So a bit of variation there. What the consensus was on X was more than 75% psychology. So 60% of respondents said that more than 75% of their trading performance could be accounted for by psychological factors. So that was 428 people voted. So obviously it's still a small sample size, but it gives us a sense that people are appreciating the fact that the mental side of performance can't be ignored if you have high ambitions for trading. If it's a hobby, if you don't really care about, making a salary from it, then sure, maybe you don't have to work on that side of it. But if you're serious about making it a career, or making a substantial income from your trading, then it does pay literally to be working on your mindset. And so I'll just put another question out there then. So if we say that we'll go with the 80% or even the 75% here, just to be a little bit conservative, and say that if 75% of your trading performance is accounted for by psychological factors, if that's true, then think about how much time you spend in all the actions that you take in your trading week. So, staying on top of news, technical analysis, your pre-market preparation, your actual trading, your daily reviews, anything else that you do trading related in a week. What percentage of those actions are directed towards improving your psychology? And I'll just see if anyone, Tom, maybe you can let me know if anyone's sharing answers there. And if they're not, if people aren't sharing it in the chat, if you did write down your answer to the first question, then check and see if the answer to the second question is actually marrying up. So if you believe that your psychology is 80% of your trading performance, well, then are you spending a significant portion of your trading week working on your mindset? Or, is it 0%? I don't do anything to work on my mindset. Or is it 5%? And maybe if there's a gap between those two, then maybe it's time to start thinking about paying a little bit more attention to this side of things. And I'm going to give you some practical examples of how you can do that now. So let's just recap technical edge. So everyone, I'm sure, knows what that is, but I just pulled this from Investopedia. So a technique, observation, or approach that creates a cash advantage over other market players. So basically, it's a technical edge is just a way that you can make sure that you have an edge over other people in the market. It's your own specific and unique way of reading the data or coming prepared with information or looking at the market through a specific lens that allows you to be profitable or to make profit more than could just be put down to randomness. So it gives you a bit of consistency, and you can't really be a professional or a consistently profitable trader without some sort of an edge. You need some way of interpreting the market and projecting hypotheses on the market that makes sense and that is based on data. So whether that's a high frequency day trader using technology to their advantage, or whether it's a trader who has a particular interest in looking at climate patterns and how they impact oil and the demand for oil, that could be an edge. So that's your technical edge. And when you're developing your technical edge, there's quite a number of steps to it. So first, you have to find what it is. So you have to actually try a few things and figure out what works for your personality, what makes sense for the way that your brain processes information and reads the market. And you have to find some sort of edge for yourself. Once you've found it, then you have to create a plan around it, like a full trading plan that incorporates that. Then you have to test that plan and if it is profitable over time. So theoretically, if you traded like a robot, you test that you would actually make money from it. And then once that's in place, then the challenge becomes actually implementing that in the market. So doing it, putting it into practice. And that's the piece where the mental edge comes in. So the mental edge, this is my definition, and it's a little bit wordy, but hopefully it makes sense. This is the competitive advantage that you experience when your mindset, emotions, and conscious actions all support the consistent and successful execution of your trading plan. So what we're really saying there is that you have the mental edge when your subconscious mind, all your thoughts in your conscious mind, all of your emotions or your emotional regulation and your actions are all aligned and supporting the successful execution of your trading plan. So like Tom was saying earlier, it's common to think in trading about outcomes and how much profit did I make, and defining your success on whether you had a red day or a green day. But if we think about it through a more high performance lens, it's the process that's important. If you could consistently execute your trading plan every single day to a T, again, assuming that this is a theoretically profitable one, well, then the results would take care of themselves. And you might have losing days, but overall in a year, you would likely hit the amount of income that you were trying to make. So in the mental edge, we're really focused on successfully executing your trading plan. That is the definition of success. And without the mental edge, as we've been talking about, it's very hard to actually reach that top level of trading. So the mental edge in action, let's make this concrete and practical and put it in context. What does it look like when you have the mental edge? It means that you're consistently able to execute your trade plan, just as we said, but it also means a lot more. Like you can quickly recover from losses. So you're not absolutely flattened by a loss and questioning your worth as a person and your ability as a trader. You're able to just calmly accept that and then focus on the next trade like it's a completely new trade and there's no hangover from previous losses. It means that you learn and improve from mistakes. So you've got the growth mindset rather than the fixed mindset. Instead of seeing mistakes as proof that you're a failure, you see the lesson in them and the chance to learn and grow as a result of making the mistake and to make sure that you don't do it next time. So mistakes can actually be the stepping stones to success, but only if you apply the right mindset to them. With the mental edge, you have the patience to wait for the right setup. So you're not FOMOing into setups that, don't fit your criteria. But you also have the courage to take it. So you see it and you quickly and decisively get into the trade. You're not hesitating and doubting yourself. When you have the mental edge, you also recognize when your emotions could influence a trade and you take appropriate action. So if there's a day that, you haven't slept, you've had a fight with your partner and your emotions are all over the place, maybe you decide to sit out that day because you recognize that you're not in a good emotional state and that might actually impact your actions in the market. Or even just managing your emotions from a more trade to trade basis. When you have the mental edge and you're putting it into practice, you stick to risk and loss limits. So you do what you say, or you do what you said you would do. You're honoring your stops. You're not going over your daily max loss. You maintain discipline and you make good decisions under pressure. Your performance on sim and live trading is equal. So there's lots of traders who start out on sim, they're on a winning streak, it's all going very easy. And then they change to live trading and they find it's a completely different ballgame because the pressure has increased exponentially. And it's only then that the cracks in the psychology will really show up. So for someone who has the mental edge, the level of pressure doesn't matter. You're still able to execute your trading plan the same way regardless. With the mental edge, you have an acceptance that losses are part of the success journey. So there's a lot of traders who struggle with accepting loss, with accepting being wrong or the market being right. And if you can really detach from that need to be right and that, need to win trades, detach your ego from that and focus on the process, that is the way that the world's most profitable traders do trade. With the mental edge in action, you're able to compartmentalize trading and life. So although no one can do this to 100%, we can all aspire to and put things in practice, which I'm going to talk to you today about a technique to do this, to put a buffer between what's going on in your personal life and your trading performance, because you always bring yourself to the market. So the more you can control for factors that are not trading related, but that could impact your trading, then you're, gaining that 1% advantage. You're controlling all of the controllables so that you can perform at your peak in trading. And basically, you're seeking all opportunities to improve. So you're really looking to do everything that you possibly can do to fulfill your true trading potential. The ingredients for the mental edge. So at its most basic, what do we need in order to achieve the mental edge? And obviously, this is a much more nuanced and complex topic if we were to talk about every single aspect of the mental edge. So I've just boiled it down into this simple diagram / analogy. No, we don't need oxygen, heat and fuel for the mental edge. I'm just using this example from making fire because it kind of makes sense. When you want to make fire, you have to have all of those three ingredients. And if one is missing, you're not going to have fire. And it's the same with the mental edge. You can't just focus on one part of it. You need all of the key pieces in place in order to achieve that, to fulfill your potential. So the first piece of this is mental conditioning. And that's basically the mindset training or the mental training that takes you from having an average, or as it was the case for me when I was younger, like a detrimental mindset, to actually having the type of mindset that supports you in achieving your goals, that allows you to perform at your peak in trading. And just some examples of tools, practical tools that we would be talking about that can help you improve your mental conditioning would be things like visualization, affirmations, which I'm going to give you an affirmations resource, a free one later in this talk. But basically you're developing the optimal mindset for performance. So you also are developing an ability to regulate your emotions. So it's not that we're trying to get rid of emotions, but we're vilifying them, but you're able to recognize them and deal with them effectively so that they don't impact your trading. But that's only one piece, because that gets you to your peak level of performance. Great. But what happens then when the pressure increases? So let's say you've reached peak performance on sim. Wonderful. But then you want to suddenly trade live, or maybe you've been trading with 5 contracts, but you want to actually start trading with 15 and the pressure increases. Are you going to be able to continue performing at that level? Even, when you increase the pressure, or say the market changes and suddenly you have to adapt your strategy or something. How do you make sure that you can keep your mindset optimal at that, in those times of pressure? That's the skill of resilience, which is a skill that you can cultivate and develop. And it's the ability to perform under pressure, but also to recover well from mistakes, to accept that mistakes are always going to be part of the trading game. And the skill, or the way that you actually can reduce or negate the impact of that on your overall trading account, is the ability to recover quickly and effectively from them. So we're not trying to absolutely eradicate mistakes. We're trying to work on our ability to come back from them. And that's resilience, another key pillar of the mental edge. And then the last pillar is personal well-being. So you can't have peak performance if the person, so you've got the person and the performer, and they're interlinked. You can't separate them fully. So if the person is not well, if you're not physically healthy, if you're not sleeping at night, if the quality of your personal relationships is low, there's a lot of conflict in your family life, then it's not possible to perform at your peak all the time if those factors are influencing you. So part of peak performance, and this came up a lot in sports, so I did a lot of work with athletes on managing their personal well-being so that they could perform better on the pitch. Obviously, there's a human factor of that makes for a more fulfilling and richer life also. But if we're just looking through the lens of performance, taking care of all these factors is really important as well. So we adopt the performance lifestyle approach to trading, which means that you also look at how many hours sleep you're getting every night. Is your nutrition good? So not to the level of an Olympic athlete, but are you eating enough to maintain energy and focus while you're trading? Or are you eating sugar and then crashing so your focus dips? And then also, are you feeling happy and fulfilled in your life? So having good habits and actions that support your personal well-being can also support peak performance. So these might be things like a meditation practice, or something as simple as just having a really well-structured daily routine so that you're meeting all of your other obligations, and that takes stress off you. If you can implement these habits, they become the cornerstone of peak performance because they take the thinking out of it. And then underpinning all of this, so the whole peak performance triangle, is self-awareness. And that's the key place to start. If you want to work on your mental edge, the very first thing you need to do is understand yourself better. So understand the link between your deep subconscious beliefs, which we'll talk about in a second, your conscious thoughts, and what you tell yourself, what your inner voice is talking to you about all day long. Is it supporting you? Is it criticizing you? The link between those things and your emotions. So how does your mindset and the way that you talk to yourself impact your emotions? And other external triggers, how do they impact your emotions? And then how do your emotions impact your actions? So kind of 4 key things there: your deep beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. The more you understand about that process or pathway in yourself in lots of different contexts, that is really the key to unlocking your mental edge. So yes, we have lots of practical ways to do that, but that's the essence of what we're talking about: understanding and then going in and optimizing things that aren't optimal, that are hindering you from peak performance. But you first have to understand it to be able to change anything. So just for a second, I just want to make sure we're good. Yeah, okay.
Créde, just to let you know, for whatever reason, the chat feature is not enabled. So if anybody has anything that they need to submit, the Q&A feature is working, so people can submit through there.
Brilliant. Oh, great. Okay. And I'm going to answer them at the end. Thanks for that, Tom. That's helpful. Also, please feel free. I do talk very fast, and Tom reminded me earlier that I do have an accent in my head. I don't have an accent because I'm around people with the same accent, but if I'm talking too fast, please just let me know there and I'll happily slow down. So now we're going to talk about discipline. So we said we would address discipline and consistency in this session. We're talking about discipline first. Do these sound familiar? So there was a lot of standard advice in trading psychology that you'll find on the internet that will tell you that, if you want to manage your emotions, you need more willpower. And I'm here to tell you that that is absolutely not true. You do not need more willpower to be a consistently profitable trader. And I'm going to let you in on why that is now. But first, let's look at some of the common, I'm not going to say misconceptions because they are helpful to a certain extent. But you may have heard these solutions that are suggested when someone's looking to improve their discipline. And so they range from make candles all one color because red aggravates your mood. Focus on risk reward rather than P&L, thinking that that's changing the outcome focus, which it isn't. Hide your P&L, trade higher time frames, reduce your position size, widen your stop loss, use ranges instead of exact prices, or focus on your win rate instead of the P&L. And I'm not going to slate those things entirely because they can be helpful. You might see some benefit from them, but they absolutely won't deal with the root cause of your indiscipline. And if you really want to reach that 1% in trading, if you want to hit your ambitious income goals, then you have to address the root cause of indiscipline. Otherwise, it's just like putting a Band-Aid on, an open wound in your leg. It's not going to cut it. And the problem with all of these suggestions is that none of them, you still need willpower. In all of those scenarios, you still need willpower to be disciplined. And when you're in the situation where you're trying to rely on willpower and you're trying to drum it up, you're in a state of internal conflict. There's a significant part of you that is fighting with the other part of you. And so when you are trying to rely on willpower, it's like you're trying to hold back the ocean with a frying pan, like beat it back with a frying pan. It just can't work. Your subconscious mind rules 95% of your actions, and your conscious mind only rules 5%. So if your subconscious mind is deciding that it wants to break your rules for whatever reason, then your 5% conscious mind is not going to be able to overpower it. And that's why these solutions are not the complete picture. They can work for a little bit, but either your brain will recognize that you're trying to outsmart it, or they just won't hold up when the pressure gets too high, when you want to change from sim to live, when you want to increase the level of contracts that you're trading with, whatever it is. So what is the solution? So this Lamborghini is not, I'm not dangling there as an incentive and saying, if you do all this, you'll be in the position to buy Lamborghinis. I'm not saying that. We're going to actually use the analogy of a car to explain this. So conquering discipline is really about getting into the arena with your subconscious mind. And emotions are not the problem. We're going to talk about why. So people think that emotions are the issue with indiscipline. If I didn't feel so angry, frustrated, if I didn't feel FOMO, if I didn't feel greed, I'd be able to stick to my plan. So therefore, emotions are the problem. If I could just trade like a robot and trade like I had ice in my veins, I would be able to stick to my plan, no problem. So therefore, I need to stop feeling. And that's not actually correct. So your emotions are just like the flashing red warning light on the dashboard of your Lamborghini. They're just letting you know that there's a deeper issue that you need to be addressing that's messing up your trading. They're not actually the problem. So if you focus on trying to fight each of those emotions and remain with willpower in the face of them, you're actually not even addressing the main issue. So let's imagine that you've bought a lovely new Lamborghini and you're going to your friend's house who lives, let's say, 10 miles away, and you want to show them your car. And if we think of your conscious mind is like the driver of the car, you want to go to your friend's house, the route, your intention is to get into the car and drive there. So all of that's planned out. Brilliant. But then let's say you've driven for like a couple of minutes and you realize that disaster, you have actually filled your Lamborghini, which is a diesel car, with petrol. And oh no, if you don't fix this issue, you're not going anywhere. So you've got a big problem on your hands. So you have a decision to make. And either you decide that maybe you change your destination so you can pretend that you were going somewhere closer so that you can get there quicker. You abort the idea of going to your friend's house. Maybe you try and ignore the red flashing warning light and just hope it goes away, which we know is not going to be the solution. Or maybe you actually go and deal with the issue at hand. So in the Lamborghini example, you go back to the garage, you get them to work their magic on changing the diesel or the petrol for diesel, cleaning out the engine, and hopefully you're back on your way. So you've dealt with the real problem. And in trading, it's the same. So your conscious mind is the driver of the car, knows exactly what you want to do in the market. You want to execute your plan and you want to be profitable, fine. But then the emotions come up. So you're trading away and suddenly you're feeling frustrated, angry, FOMO, greed, whatever it is. And these emotions have the potential to threaten your actions, so to cause you to break your trading rules. But if we think of, like we said, the emotions are the flashing red warning light telling you there's an issue. So we go to the gas tank, and really your subconscious limiting beliefs are the fuel in this car. They're what are in the gas tank. They are what's going to drive your actions in the market. With the wrong fuel in the tank, so if we think of negative limiting beliefs at a subconscious level, I'm not good enough, I have to prove myself with my trading results, I never have enough money, so I have to hold on to everything I get in the market, I can't possibly risk failure. All of those beliefs, they're like putting the wrong fuel in the car. So with those beliefs in your subconscious mind, you're never going to get to your destination. You don't have the capacity to get there. It's just not going to happen. So really what you want to do is swap out those negative beliefs for positive subconscious beliefs that support you in achieving your goal. And that's the piece of work that a lot of traders don't realize needs to be done. But if you understand that that's the case, it's actually the key to unlocking discipline in your trading. So really what we want to do is have a method for recognizing what those emotions are and then diving deeper into your subconscious mind, so into the gas tank of the car, and figuring out what type of gas needs to go in there in order to let the car drive to its destination. So this is quite a complex topic. There's a lot to each of these stages, but I just want to give you the actual pathway, and you can start reflecting on it then yourself. So the first part of conquering discipline, if we're thinking about it in this way, is to look at what destructive habits are costing you money in your trading. So just write them down, as simple as I'm ignoring my daily loss limit, I'm taking too many setups that are not high quality, I'm jumping out of the trade too early before it hits my profit target. So what are the actions? Then look at the emotions, or note down the emotions that you feel directly before you take those actions. So in the example of jumping out of the trade, maybe you're feeling anxious. In the example of ignoring your daily loss limit, maybe it's you're feeling anger, frustration, resentment. So note down those emotions. And again, they're just the warning light. Then look at what specific subconscious beliefs could be causing those emotions, and they're being triggered by the market. So this is the part that can be not trickier, but it's complex. There's a lot to it. I do have a system I have a free webinar that goes into this in a little bit more detail, and then I have a whole course which Tom took, which gets right to Tom can attest to this. It'll get you right down to the exact subconscious belief that's playing out in your trading. But some common ones that I'll mention would be things like, I have to achieve in order to be loved. So these beliefs come from our childhood, and they're often formed in our relationships with our parents, and then they affect us throughout our lives. So what that might look like, if you were carrying that subconscious belief, which is super common, what that might look like in your trading is that you're very concerned with the outcome of trades. You don't want to be wrong. You can't accept a loss. You can't accept a red day, because if you do, it's actually a blow to your self-worth. It's more than money on the line, it's your self-esteem. So that can be a really common belief that triggers people into feeling all these emotions like rage, frustration, impatience, and then that causes you to break your actions. So the answer is to reprogram those deep beliefs at the subconscious level with beliefs that actually support you in your trading. So as I said, because that's quite a complex pathway to actually implement, what I want to do is give you a shortcut. So this is not the whole solution. I definitely recommend, if this is something that interests you, you can take it to another level with more specific trainings. But to get you started, this is a free affirmations resource. So it's on YouTube. And it's I think it's about 13 minutes of an audio resource that you can listen to every single day to reprogram your subconscious mind. And it's actually created specifically for traders. So I created this as a mental trading tool based on all of the work that I've done with traders. creating affirmations with them, but also looking at the subconscious beliefs that come up and that throw people off. So this is kind of a catch-all script that targets most or all of the main reasons why people break their trading rules. So it'll definitely help. But like I said, if you want the full solution, it's really about understanding exactly for you what's going on. So you can check that out. That's the link to it there. And maybe Tom can drop it somewhere or put it in an email so that people can get it as well. So I recommend that if you want to start on improving your discipline, listening to this every day can be really helpful.
I will share that before you move on, Créde, from there. I just want to talk about this slide in specific because this was key for me, given my undergraduate work in computer science. And one of the keys that really resonated with me was the reprogram your subconscious mind. And remember at the outset of this, I said, I'm not a psychologist. But sometimes I get to a point where I realize where I don't know what I don't know. And so I align myself with an expert like Créde in accepting that, okay, maybe I've got some things from my past or subconsciously that are affecting my trading. That just the concept of reprogramming that really caught my attention because I know how to program a computer. I didn't know how to program my mind. And so through this exercise that Créde just shared, and we'll make sure that you have, the link where you can copy it down or we'll send it to you as well. But going through that, that's one of the things you can do before your next trade is just listening to this particular exercise that she has. And when I worked with Créde, I was able to personalize it for myself. So I kind of reverse engineered it. I started knowing that, okay, I could reprogram this. But I didn't know what the other steps were. And that's what Créde worked with me through is to get through these 4 steps. And ironically, most of them had nothing to do with trading. It had something it was all about, me and external factors to trading that I was bringing to the market. So I was able to reprogram that. So sorry to interrupt, but I felt it was important enough to interject there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, that's the best support of these type of techniques can really come from people who've introduced them and stuck with them and seen the results. And I will say with affirmations in particular, it's not like a quick solution. It's not that you listen to it once and it's like a magic wand. It's something to reprogram your subconscious mind. You have to listen every day. It's the repetition that makes them effective. So I would recommend typically if you listen every single day for at least 2 weeks, like I recommend 3 weeks before you judge it, but at least 2 weeks, you should start seeing a difference in how you react to things, in the level or the strength of your emotions while trading. Maybe you're more able to accept a loss. So you first notice it in small mindset shifts, and then it's like a snowball. The more you keep listening to it over time, the more you see direct impact on your results. But in my 16 years of high performance coaching, across all different domains and in my own life as well, I would say that this is my favorite tool and the one that's created the most significant impact and change for people, high performers from lots of different domains. And it's the one that people are sometimes skeptical about because they think, oh, affirmations, a bit too woo-woo for me, or, I don't believe in that. But when you actually use it in the way that, so I've created a method around it that's where you record it in your own voice, ideally. Obviously this resource, it's in my voice. But ideally you record it in your own voice and you make it very personalized, and then it can just create magic. It's so powerful. But
Truth.
I'll leave you with that. I don't want to sound like I'm overselling them, but I honestly, I think they're my favorite tool of all time. That said, let's talk about conquering consistency. So we talked about the person and the performer and how both of those things are linked. And if there's things going on in your personal life that are stressful or challenging, that it can actually put you at a disadvantage in your trading before you even enter a trade. Like you're taking on more risk before you even enter a trade if you have that stuff going on in your personal life and you don't have a way to either deal with it directly head on. So, being very proactive about stress management, working on your relationships, all of that kind of stuff. But even if you're doing that, it's useful to have a buffer between your external life or your personal life and your trading performance, and to actually build in a routine that can help you to focus and compartmentalize as much as possible before you perform. And the best people in the world who do that day in, day out, and who are excellent at it are professional athletes. So if you think of a warm-up, a physical warm-up, you'd never see a professional athlete or a professional sports team going out in the pitch or going out to compete and not doing a physical warm-up. It wouldn't happen. But equally, they also do mental warm-ups. They have pre-performance routines. So you might have seen this with, let's say, I don't know, a football team arriving at a stadium and they have their headphones on, they're listening to music. Some of those athletes will be listening to rap music and things that would pump them up. So really energizing, because they know that for them, being in that pumped up state is what elicits peak performance for them. For other athletes, it could be that they're listening to very chilled out Zen music, and that's bringing their level of, nerves and anxiety in their body down. And that's what they need. So a lot of like people from Michael Phelps, Serena Williams, there's tons of examples of athletes out there who have very specific personalized pre-performance routines that allow them to get into the zone that they know produces peak performance. So that's tried and tested in sports. There's lots of research around it, but we can borrow that and take that to the trading context. And you can actually create your own personalized pre-performance routine for trading. And what we're talking about there is a series of actions. So it doesn't need to be something super complicated. It could even be as little as 12 minutes, which I'm going to explain. I have a course around this, so I'm going to explain that in a minute. But it could even be 5 minutes. It just depends on what works for you. So it doesn't need to be something that adds a lot of stress or complexity to your preparation for trading. But it's so important. And the point of it is to optimize your mental, your physical, and your emotional state to put you in the state that will deliver peak trading performance or consistency. So we're trying to neutralize any of the variables that could cause you to be more emotionally charged or maybe mentally unfocused. It's like you're addressing all of those things before you ever enter the market. So in one sense, you're optimizing all of that. But then in the other sense, the actual act of having a routine becomes a signal to your brain in itself that is like a signal to tell you to get ready to perform. So while obviously I'm going to suggest specific things based on research that you could put in that routine that would be very helpful, even if your routine was something as abstract as spinning around 3 times and jumping up and down, and that became your signal to yourself and you did it every single time before you traded, it would go some way to helping you start dialing in your focus, because it's like a ritual that you're going through that tells yourself, right now, I'm changing my focus from whatever was happening in my life to trading, and I'm switching on for trading. So obviously, I'm not going to recommend spinning around and jumping up and down. We have more sophisticated techniques than that. But I'm just saying that even the act of practicing a routine like that can be helpful in itself. So lots of different benefits from doing this. So what can it actually bring to your trading? Well, the research says that the more prepared people are, the more confident they are. So I'm sure maybe people have had examples of college exams or high school exams and you did no study and, you tried to cram the night before, but basically you're unprepared and you're walking into this exam hall and you're not confident, and you're not confident because you didn't do the preparation. Whereas then maybe you have an example in your life where you were super prepared for something, you'd put in the work, you had practice, let's say it was a public speaking event, you practiced, you've taken care of everything that you could possibly take care of. And then it's just up to, like you trying to implement it on the day. If you're in that scenario and you've prepared to the hilt, that breeds confidence. You're going to walk into that performance, whether it's an exam or public speaking, feeling a lot more confident. And it's the same with trading. The more that you prepare, the more that you take care of all those tiny variables that could possibly influence your trading, the more confident you're going to be. So it allows you to actually take control of what is within your control. And like we said, if you're not doing that, it's not like it's at neutral. You're actually exposing yourself to more risk. So especially around stress, if your stress levels are high, if you're feeling overwhelmed because of life factors, then you're actually going to have less cognitive capacity in the market. You're going to have less cognitive availability to make good decisions in your trading, or even maybe to see the right data on the screen. So if you're reducing your stress levels before you trade by incorporating breathing into this mental preparation routine or meditation or something like that, then you're minimizing the risk. So you're controlling what is within your control. And all of this significantly increases the likelihood of you sticking to your trading plan, which is effectively consistency. Even if you're looking for consistency in profit, it first comes from consistency in sticking to your trading plan. So just to pull this together, and hopefully, we still have time for Q&As. What I want to offer you today is just an opportunity. If this isn't topic that's resonating with you and that you feel you would like to dig into deeper, then normally I have a 12 minutes to market ready course, which will talk you through or walk you through creating a personalized pre-market preparation routine that will address the mental, emotional, and physical state. And it's a self-paced course, but it literally guides you through creating personalized tools. So you'll cover goal setting, affirmations, and meditation. And it becomes a 12-minute routine. So somebody asked me this recently. The course itself takes more than 12 minutes. It was a good question, but the routine that you create as a result of the course will be 12 minutes long, and so that you can just incorporate that into your normal technical preparation for your trading. So even for people who are living on the Pacific West Coast of America who have little time in the morning, you could just incorporate this and it takes 12 minutes, or you could even make a shorter version of it for yourself. So it shouldn't take too much time in terms of your preparation. But the course, we talked about the affirmations, and in this course, for the affirmations part specifically, we actually break down that entire script, and we let you know which aspects of your trading, like which kind of subconscious beliefs and which problems in your trading each affirmation is designed to address. So what you can actually do is, where the free one that I'm giving you access to, that you can access on YouTube, I think it's about 13 minutes long, maybe longer, you could actually create a much shorter version of just affirmations that you feel are relevant to you, based on understanding what are the particular challenges that you're facing in your trading right now. So that's how you can make it really personalized, and then you can record it in your own voice. So normally this course is $147, but because you're here, you're engaged, and you're proactively looking to work on your mental edge, we're offering that on special offer at $67, and that will be until Sunday. Sorry, that should not be Sunday. That should be Friday, October 20th. Is that right? That's
Yeah, Friday.
Sorry, apologies for that. That should be Friday, October 20th. So a week and a day, and it closes at midnight Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Time. I'm not sure what it is at the moment. After which it'll go back up to the regular price. But so there's 3 levels to this. The first level is, I'm interested in working on my mental edge. I want to just test out some strategies before I take it to a deeper level. Well, then my suggestions would be to listen to that affirmation script, the free one with the link that we provided, and also to work through these 4 steps in relation to improving your discipline, and, do that in a self-reflection, journaling kind of way, and see what you can come up with for yourself. So even identifying what those limiting beliefs are will be super helpful. Like, that's quite a big step to get to. But even if you're only just laying out what the actions that you're taking that are breaking your rules are, and what are the emotions that precede it, etc., that will actually be building that self-awareness, which is the foundation of the mental edge. So that's one level of it. The second level then is that you decide, actually, okay, I'm really going to start this. I'm going to address this one key aspect of my mental edge, and I'm going to really optimize my pre-market preparation. Well, then if that's the level you're at, this course will be really helpful for that. And then if you want to go the whole way and throw the kitchen sink at it, then there's the Go Deep to Level Up Your Trading course, which Tom took. But that's like the deepest level of working on it. So hopefully that's given you value that you can start implementing straight away in your trading to see a difference in your discipline and consistency, and also an appreciation for the importance of your mental edge, but also the idea that it's a practical thing, it's tangible, it's not an abstract concept, it's something that you can work on the same way that you would train your muscles in the gym. So I'm going to stop talking there, hand over to Tom, and I guess we'll start the Q&A.
Yeah, just a couple of comments too, Créde, before we do have some Q&A to get into. I wanted to show, I know you can't really see this, but you remember I was talking earlier in the presentation about I was taking flying lessons when I was younger, and everything worked off of a checklist. Well, this is my checklist. This is my pre-trading checklist. And essentially there's 10 things on it, okay? And only 2 of them have anything to do with trading, okay? Just like Créde was talking about an athlete preparing for competition. Well, as traders, we have to prepare mentally for competing in the markets, if you will. And so 8 of the 10 things that I log every day, and track and manage and monitor the metrics of, prepare me mentally. And there are certain things that I have to rule myself ineligible to trade that day. And one of them is sleep. And I never realized how important sleep was to the performer part of trading, the performance part of trading, until I had a night of only 4 hours sleep. And I said, I'm good. I can get through this. and the market taught me otherwise. And so one of my rules is if I don't get a minimum of 6 hours sleep, and it's different for everybody, if I don't get a minimum of 6 hours sleep, I will declare myself ineligible to trade that day. And that's the type of discipline that you can develop, like I did, to help become a better trader. And like I said, a lot of the stuff to enhance your trading performance really has nothing to do with trading. It's all the other stuff from a personal development standpoint that goes into your performance as a trader to do that. So just like Créde was talking about, there's a difference between the person and the performer. But at the end of the day, you're still one and the same, but your roles can be different, when it comes to that. And so I thought, just a nice segue into that, as it relates to, 12 minutes to market ready. And, I don't even think mine takes 12 minutes anymore, but, but that's what I shot for when I got ready. And when you go through the affirmation scripts, it's the same place I started with Créde. And so if you want to go down this path, that's the place to start, is with the affirmation scripts. And it's just like anything else, if you've been working out, in the gym, and then you take a layoff, you don't come back in trying to do max weight and max reps your first time back. You kind of have to ease your way in. And so this is the type of system where Créde is giving us and you a perfect way to kind of ease your way in with the affirmation scripts, the special bonus of 12 minutes to market ready. Somebody has already sent in a message that they've already bought the course. Thank you for the discount, and to do that. And so there is a question. I don't know, Créde, can you see the Q&A?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a question in there.
So Alexis,
I don't know if everyone else can see that too.
I'll read it out in case they
Yeah.
can't. So Alexis is saying, I observed my thoughts and I've noticed a pattern just before tilting. After a couple of losses, it seems that the doubt of not making it in my trading career is triggering me. Then I don't see signals anymore and taking trades under the urgency of doing something to get back in the green. And most of the time I'm digging my hole deeper. How can I address this doubt? Okay, great. This is like really textbook what we're talking about here. So it's a really good example. So thank you for bringing up that question, and hopefully I'll be able to help. So there's a couple of parts to it. You've identified that the pattern is just before tilting. So there's a belief that comes in, or you're become aware of this belief, and then the action is that you go on tilt. And the preceding scenario is that you've taken a few losses. So you know that the pathway is losses. You feel this, or you have this sense in your head, of the worry of not making it my trading career, and then you go on tilt. What's happening there is that a subconscious limiting belief is triggering those emotions in you, and that's causing you to go on tilt. And obviously it's linked with the idea of not making it in my trading career. So the questions to ask yourself around that, what you're trying to do is to get to the root of that limiting belief, to actually be able to articulate it in a statement, in a sentence very clearly. But in order to get to that point, because that takes quite a lot of digging, I'm going to help you fast track it here. Usually when we have thoughts like that, a worry of not making it my trading career, that's quite like a macro level worry to have. It means that you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself and putting extra significance on that one trade or those few losses, more than the significance that they actually objectively hold for your entire trading career. So you're projecting significance onto this and saying, these few losses mean that I'm not going to make it in my trading career. So I would say that one of the key areas to look at there is your beliefs around achievement and worthiness. So the link between achievement and your self-worth. Why is it so important to make it in your trading career? What does it mean if you fail as you see it? And if you start asking yourself those kind of open-ended questions, you'll start to understand what lies beneath that worry that you've articulated. So it could be a number of these things. It could be that I took a chance on trading as a career, and the people who thought it was not a valid career they'll be proven right. It'll mean that I'm a failure. It'll mean that all of this work is for nothing. So the more that you can flesh out exactly what's going on for yourself, then through all of that analysis, you'll be able to actually laser it down and get to the one statement, that one belief that's at the bottom of it. But I would guess that it's probably in the realm of linking achievement with your self-worth. So looking for your trading results to validate some aspect of you as a person. And that's because this comes up so often that it's one of the key, like one of the, say, 6 key ones that appears all the time. So if you can reflect on that, it will be really helpful. And then the other piece is that if you can work on your ability to withstand pressure, so your resilience to pressure, either by reducing the level of anxiety in your mind, so using things like meditation, deep breathing, even breathing while you're in the market, that can be helpful. And the other piece is to reduce the level of pressure or like physical tension in your body while you're trading as well. So when you believe that your entire self-worth is connected with your trading results, it increases pressure. So there's pressure inherent in the market anyway. And then once you have that type of significance, or you're projecting that onto the market and you're trading, it massively increases the pressure. So either you need to reprogram the belief, which of course we want to do, and that will remove the pressure. It won't exist anymore. Or in the meantime, you can also work on building your resilience to pressure as well. And so you're coming at the problem from a few different angles. So Alexis is just filling or giving some more context there and saying, taking a risk on the career, willing to show my family and partners that I succeeded. So it's validation. The theme to really focus on for yourself is validation and self-worth. And if you can, obviously, if we were to go into that in more depth, it would become like a one-to-one coaching session, and it's a public forum. So I'm not going to take it deeper than that, but that's the area or the ballpark to look at and try and articulate exactly what are those beliefs at that deep level that are driving that behavior of going on tilt. But also the affirmation script that we have, the resource, should be helpful for that, because definitely that type of linking self-worth with achievement and looking for external validation from your trading results is accommodated in the trading script. So hopefully that's been helpful. John Watkins has a question here. In my last 7 trades, I got out early. All would have been profitable trades. I had good setups. I get a fear of being wrong. Will your course help? Yeah, so again, this is one of the really key. So actually, I should say the 12 minutes to market ready course is specifically designed to create this pre-market routine. So that's not going to help you to identify the deep limiting beliefs. That's a much deeper piece of work. So that's in the Go Deep to Level Up Your Trading courses, which is like the more comprehensive course that looks at all aspects of your mental edge. The 12 minutes to market ready one is specifically for, creating that routine that's going to help you improve discipline and consistency. So hopefully that's cleared that up. But I will say that if that's going on for you, that's a very common challenge in trading psychology, the fear of being wrong. And there's also actually a free masterclass, which is on the ChartPros website, which will talk through that specific problem. Actually, I have a whole section in that masterclass on that, the need to be right and the fear of being wrong and how to overcome it. So that might just be another helpful resource. It may not solve the whole issue for you, but it will give you a bit of a steer around that as well. So wait and see if there are any other questions. Or Tom, did you have anything you wanted to add in?
Yeah. Do you want? I have the link to the masterclass as well. Do you want me to put that out there now, or save that for the?
Yeah. Put that in if it's helpful for people. So that's a free masterclass as well. So another free resource.
And I'm not sure if people can you see the chat and just not respond?
It's saying, I can see that it says Tom to host and panelists. So I think that it's not going to the whole room. Is that right? I'm just, seeing another question here. So I'm just going to address this. So Q deal. How do you go about being so hard on yourself when you know what you're doing, but holding back to make the trades due to not pulling the trigger? And also being in good profit, but thinking the market is going to go up more than it reverses. So I'll just address the second piece of that first. In terms of thinking the market is going to go up, but then it reverses, that's really about, part of it is about not projecting your expectations on the market. It's really about just, reading the data, letting the data tell you what to do, what actions to take, and having a really solid trading plan. And maybe Tom can actually address that piece in more detail as well. So I'll just answer the first bit of it and hand over to him on that, just from the technical perspective. That would be my answer to it, but Tom may have something else to add in there. And then being really hard on yourself when you know what you should do, but you're holding back to make the trade due to not pulling the trigger. So that hesitancy to actually get into the trade, again, can be coming from a subconscious fear of failure, that you don't want to even put yourself in the arena to risk being wrong or to risk losing money. So it could be a money mindset, subconscious belief. But absolutely, that challenge relates to the subconscious beliefs that we were talking about. So if you can pinpoint exactly what the fear is and what is the belief that's driving that fear, and then create affirmation statements to reprogram that, that's the pathway of how you recover from that challenge, or how you neutralize it. But obviously, again, that takes a bit of reflection. But I would look at things like being afraid of being wrong, and why is that? Not wanting to risk being wrong, money mindset or scarcity money mindset. So the belief that you have to hold on to every piece of money that comes to you, the belief that there'll never be enough money. They're all typical beliefs that can feed into that type of action in the market.
Right. I would add to that. And Q is someone that I've worked closely with one-on-ones in the last several months, developing his technical perspective and edges. And so he probably won't be surprised to hear this answer, but there's sometimes where you just have to let the chart do what it's going to do. You develop your plan, you execute against your plan, and once you're in the trade, it's really beyond your control. Except for managing the trade, if and when it hits your particular levels, and it's, your levels are either your stop loss or your take profit levels. And in between, you just have to let it do what it's going to do, because we have no control over that.
It's that process focus we were talking about again, isn't it? Right. Like being focused on executing the plan and then not being attached to the outcome.
Right.
I think that's covered the questions. I'm not seeing any more there.
Yeah, I don't see any more. We do have a few more minutes, and we'll stay on as long as there are questions. But when the questions stop, we will end the session. While you may be typing for that, I do want to thank everyone for their participation and joining today, whether you were here and attended the live session or if you're currently watching the recording. We do appreciate your participation, and we were glad that you were here today.
Thanks, everyone, for the great questions and for the engagement.
Yeah, Kim and Christopher, you're welcome. Alexis, you're welcome. And everybody, just to kind of to close it out, nothing real formal, no slides, but just a personal testament. I know many times Créde will do a presentation like this, but not necessarily with someone. She may do it with a strategic partner, or she may have done it with, a previous, client, but not someone who's both. And so I can speak firsthand that the process works, and I'm living proof of it. I've answered some of the questions, in the chat. If I can do it, you can too. And that younger Tom that I showed you earlier in the presentation, that picture, that 23-year-old know-it-all, who really didn't know as much as I thought he did back then. He still tries to tell me what to do sometimes, but I've learned how to manage him, through working on things like this. And you'll just be surprised, probably as much as I was, because that younger version of me never believed in this sort of psychology and all the fluff. And I really, honestly, Créde's heard me say this before. I used to think this was for softies. If you were hard enough and tough enough, then you didn't need this stuff. You should be able to do it. And I've learned otherwise. And maturity is a great teacher. Experience is a great teacher. But you have to realize when you don't know what you don't know, and find the experts that do know, that can help you. And, with that, I want to, give a big shout out and a big thank you to Créde for joining us today and spending her time with us. And any other words of wisdom you want to leave us with today, Créde?
No, I'd say just if people are interested in working on their mental edge, just start with something small. Like just pick one area or one technique that you're going to practice with. I think the barrier to people improving their mental edge often is just the overwhelm of either not knowing what to do or thinking that they have to do everything. So I would say just pick one thing. And when you see the difference that makes, then you can start adding in more things. But thanks so much for hosting, Tom. It was really, it's a pleasure to work with you always. And it was great questions as well. So cheers for that.
Well, good. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next event.